by way of introducing myself. I never thought that I'll be standing here. Last year, I was I think, anchoring one of the panels, and I'm so deeply honored to be using my knowledge of agriculture, finally standing in front of you guys and speaking to you. My name is Ayodele Ayoakunde. They call me. I am one of the very few creatives who believe that there is no nation in the world, forgive me, that is as blessed with both natural, human, mineral, ritual resources like Nigeria. Can you celebrate Nigeria? You're very welcome. So we'll do the welcome and opening address right now that will be taken by the CEO, co-founder of Post Harvest Solutions Limited. Very, very quickly, he will be speaking and welcoming us. There are two people, right? But there are two important entities, and I'm not sure now. I think it's Doctor that's doing it. Yes. So let me introduce the CEO and co-founder to speak to us. But before then, if you visit the website for Safe Summit, it's not projected yet. Just simply Google safesummit.postagvestsolutions.com. Please, can we quickly do that? You need to download just to get a hook of the conversation today. It's not going to be very lengthy. It's going to be very brief and fast. Just simply go to search www.safe.postagvest. That's AGVEST solutions.com. Once you type that, how many of us are there? You can then go down to download Summit Brochure. Download Summit Brochure. How many of us are there? Just let me know so we're following. How many of us are there? Another hand, lucky hand who has found it. I'll go over it again. www.safesummit.postagvestsolutions.com, right? To download the Summit brochure. Just simply slide and then you can download it to be abreast of the conversation flow today. So I'd like to bring forward a very firm believer in the agricultural value chains. I've had conversations back to back about how much loss we are having, we usually experience in the value chain process of our agribusiness in Africa, and how the revolution
Good morning, everyone. Okay, so I'd like to start my speech now. Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Ekiti State, the Consular General, As we begin today's conversation, I encourage every participant to listen attentively to the insight shared by our speakers and panelists. Prepare your questions and engage actively. Your ideas and experiences are the seeds of innovation that will be birthed right here. Network purposefully. Meet someone new, somebody you have not seen before, someone you've been willing to interact with. I'm going to say that again. It is important at this point to remind us that transformation happens to not just in sessions, but in connections we build beyond them. And lastly, I want you all to relax. Yes, relax. To enjoy every bit of the summit. Thank you all for being part of Safe Summit 5.0. Sponsors and the indefatigable organizing team who continue to make this platform stronger every year. I also invite you to explore the beauty of Ekiti State, from our serene landscapes to the legendary Kogosi Warm Springs, where hot and cold water flow side by side. And please, don't leave without tasting our world-famous pounded yam. Indeed, it is the true spirit of Ekiti, hospitality served on a plate. Together, let us build an ecosystem where financing is inclusive, markets are fair, and agribusiness truly become the engine of Nigeria's sustainable future. Thank you, and welcome once again to Safe Summit 5.0. Thank you.
Okay, so by the way we are clapping, if I found myself in this room, I'll probably find it difficult to think that we are farmers, right? Because our applause is so English and so British and so posh, right? Like we've never held cutlasses or maybe even held tomatoes, or maybe we don't even eat at all. But then I know that sometimes we have to really package ourselves. But yeah, guys, come on. Just imagine every single time that someone comes in that person's shoe, and imagine that you're leaving a stage and you are being clapped for or applauded that way. Would you like it? So can we do it better for Dr. Olajumoke? Change their water, change their feed, and then warm them up. And of course, it was a very cold season because most times we're always starting around maybe August, September. We'll prepare and build them up for December sales. December is the time everybody pays attention to chickens. And then towards the April, we're probably looking for ram and goats, right? So December is a very horrible time for chicken, not a chicken, right? And so we would warm them up, change, and then sometimes we'll see some of them in the morning. They're dead, lying lifeless on the floor, and so much loss, right? And so it just brings back to the question. I had this conversation recently with someone, and I said, agriculture is so fulfilling. You feel like you are doing God's job, right? Forgive me if you're a biochemist, you are an engineer, you are maybe even an AI expert. If you don't eat, you will die. Trust me, you will die. And so I feel so proud. Every time you get into the institution, the first thing they're always telling you is to prove to you that you're in the right course. Did anybody experience that? Your lecturers will come and tell you, oh, so you're in agric. Agric is God's job. The first job God did was what? Agriculture. And then the biochemists will come and say what God did was to create the heaven and the earth. What is that? Biochemistry. And then the chemicals, the chemistry students, they say what God did first was to put atoms together to form matter and all of that. That's chemistry. And then mathematicians, they'll tell you that God put 1 and 2 together to put, all of this to prove the point. But me, I know that if you don't eat, you will what? You will die. Then agriculture is very noble. But then, if we don't finance agriculture, how do we hope to be able to feed ourselves, our state, our nation as a people, because we know it's a very volatile business. If you could lose your birds, if you are rearing animals, they could run away, get stolen, they could die from a disease. If you are in a value chain process, waste could happen, could rot in. If you don't package it, it could spoil, right? What if you don't have sales or you can't even store? And these are the conversations that we're going to be looking at today. And I'm so excited because we're all gathered here looking at how to achieve sustainable financing for agriculture. But quickly, let me just acknowledge I was raised to honor people, and I'll just quickly acknowledge the Consul General of the Kingdom of Netherlands in Lagos is in our midst. Let's celebrate His Excellency Michael Dylan. Can we clap better? Can we clap better? Excellency, you're welcome. And it's good to read. I think you visited Ekiti recently. Am I correct? No, not. Is this your first time in Ekiti? It's come on, let's celebrate. This is first time. It's the first time to say you're very, very welcome. And please just like the welcome speech. If you've never tried Ekiti's pounded yam, trust me, you can go and eat it in Osun State. It's fine. Osun people also believe that they are eating pounded yam. But if you never tried Ekiti, yeah. If you've never tried Ekiti pounded yam, you never chop anything. Well, I will go ahead very quickly. I would want to create an opportunity for us to just say hello to one another, but no, I still a bit in the morning, so let's stick to the agenda. I'd like to bring forward very, very quickly the comes lead for post-harvest solutions. It will come take citation, and it will then lead us into the next agenda for today. Let me, as he prepares to come forward, announce that this is not your regular talk shop. It's not your regular talk shop. I remember that every single time I've attended the same summit, it always left me with some mind-boggling ideas on how we can change and transform the agricultural process during agriculture as Africans or Nigerians, right? And if you pay attention, all the speeches, all the conversations, and engage, I'm sure that if you probably practice agric, right, you'll be better in the next season. And if you don't, you're just here because you heard about it and you want to learn, or you just be in our midst, you will definitely find a reason to, one way or the other, be practicing agriculture. So I bring forward Tawe Darling, comes lead as he takes the side. Can we celebrate him as he comes forward? Remember, I said, imagine you are the one that I'm calling forward. So clap that way.
Thank you very much. In the academia, we usually request whoever want to take a citation to stand and remain standing. If the Consul General will oblige me, I can request you please stand and remain standing. Please help me appreciate him. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Michel Dillon is a seasoned Dutch diplomat with a background in international trade law and human rights. He has represented the Kingdom of the Netherlands in key global institutions, including the European Union, the World Bank, World Trade Organization, and the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, with postings in Afghanistan, Turkey, Geneva, Nigeria, South Sudan, and Libya. He is currently the Consul General in Lagos. Michel brings deep expertise in governance, trade and development, energy security, and cultural diplomacy. A very concise citation. Please join me to welcome, to give the keynote speech for this year's edition of Safe Summit, Mr. Michel Dillon. A round of applause, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I always feel humbled when people read these things, you know. It's just me. But all here in large numbers in Ado-Ekiti, in Ekiti State, a great place. Very honored to be here. I would have started my keynote address by saying a carol. In Ekiti State, I just learned they say yeah. So let me skip that part. I will still the way in which it's said here. Anyway, I was also very pleased that the protocol was established. But indeed, greetings to the honorable commissioners, the distinguished guests, and the great farmers and the organizers, and the team. I saw the overview of the team in the brochure. Nothing happens alone. There's always a team that organizes this. And congratulations, very, very well done. You know, there were people from the Netherlands at previous Safe Summit, and I couldn't make it. I was traveling, and then people kept on saying, "Yeah, but you should go, you should go." And I said, "Well, yeah, the feedback was quite good, obviously." But one of the main reasons why I then thought, let me go to Ekiti State was indeed because I had never been to Ekiti State yet. Strange enough, I visited all the surrounding states, but there was always something that prevented me from seeing this beautiful state. And we came in from Lagos yesterday, and people have been warning me about, be careful, the roads and this and that. And well, you know, it could be worse. It was actually quite good. And we visited the warm springs. So we did our touristic duty, and it was actually amazing. Ekiti has so many things to offer. So many things to offer. A state of beautiful hills. And that is why one of the reasons why I'm very, very pleased to be here today with you. But obviously, we are also here to work. We are also here to discuss serious matters. And agriculture is a very serious matter. If you travel through Nigeria, you know, sometimes foreigners would say, "Oh, Nigeria is an oil country, an oil-producing country." Obviously, it is. But basically, Nigeria is an agricultural country. Nigeria is a green country. And the numbers were just quoted that sizable proportions of the Nigerian population work in agriculture. Now, that's also where the problem starts, because what kind of work is that? If it's very often subsistence farming, that you're a farmer out of need to feed yourself, your family, but not out of business. So what we always try to do is say, you know, every society goes through different transitions. And every society obviously starts with gatherers and hunters and farmers. But at a certain moment, you will professionalize the farming. You will mechanize the farming. You will further develop the farming. So that two things happen. One, your production will increase. And two, there will be lots of people who do not need to farm, but can be very useful in other sectors of the economy. And that can be services, that can be anywhere else, can be the creative sector, can be industry. But that's the way society so far have made steps forward. And I think that's also the way in which Nigeria wants to go. The problem is that we see where we want to go and we say, how come we are stuck here with this infrastructure, with that lack of finance, with what's happening? And just to give you a small example of how we try to do that in the Netherlands. I was discussing this with some friends yesterday evening. You know, some people say, "Oh, the Netherlands is a rich country and you have the money and the technology." Well, maybe now, but not always. You know, my father grew up in a farm, and that was poverty. That was really no wealth and richness at all. And that was just before the Second World War. And after the Second World War, it was decided among the countries of Europe to boost up agricultural production with mechanization, use of fertilizer, with modern agricultural technologies. and with support from the governments, the different governments in Europe. That became the European agricultural policy. And it worked. It worked to such an extent that the production levels in Europe of farm produce went up while the number of people active in that sector actually went down. Went down to such an extent that nowadays most people actually don't know a farmer anymore because there are so few of them, which poses problems of itself. But that combination, it's something that some of my colleagues in headquarters describe as the Dutch diamond. Well, it's basically just smart thinking. You bring together the private sector, the public sector, the research institutes and agricultural universities, civil society and the organized civil society, and last but not least, or maybe first, or somewhere in between, the government. Um, because governments have a role to play in this discussion. Government should not own farms, government should not be in the business of agriculture, but government should create a conducive atmosphere, conducive economic environment where agriculture can thrive. And that starts, of course, with infrastructure, starts with roads and boreholes and things like that, but also legislation, and then predictability. Now, predictability is a tricky one because I work for the Dutch government, and the Dutch government also changes policy every 5 years or every 4 years. So I know there's criticism about the government changing rules, but still, government should offer that platform upon which then the real farmers can do their job and do more than farming, the real farmers, because then you move from farming into basically agro-allied industries, into logistics, into market that have an added value in many, many ways, but also financial, for you to move that agricultural chain forward. Now, of course, from the Dutch side, we have been looking at this in Nigeria for many years. We started with a program. Fast. That's fast. Okay. Yes, we're making progress. Okay. Now, I was about to mention Two Scale. Some of you might know it. Two Scale is basically an agricultural program that helps farmers to raise their production quality and quantity to a certain level whereby off-takers, and that can be supermarkets or that can be traders or companies or factories, find it basically an acceptable quality to buy from you. And Two Scale has been actually quite active also in with trainings and with showing people how you can use certain seeds combination with certain fertilizers to get the desired outcome. We are here in the Southwest, and I think probably when I met Post Agvet Solutions was probably in the discussion on a roadmap for the Southwest. One of our colleagues had the idea of taking a step back and making an analysis on, let's look at the policy and the economic and political situation in the Southwest, and I'm not talking about politics, but policy, how that can be tweaked in such a way that agriculture can thrive better. And Post Agvet Solutions was involved in a study that did that. And of course, there are many challenges: the labor, the shortages sometimes, temperature, humidity. But still, there's also one big advantage, or several actually. But the proximity market called Lagos. What we were thinking of some 5-6 years ago when we started developing horticulture programs in Nigeria, or even more than 5, time flies, 10 years ago, we actually thought this is about feeding the city. This is about producing in Kano, Kaduna, in Oyo, in Ogun, in Ekiti, to feed urban centers. Um, and then you're automatically thinking about transport, logistics, packaging, storage, preventing post-harvest losses, and so on. And that item on feeding the city and feeding urban centers, of course, is also very crucial to what happens in Ekiti State. And we did that also. There was a point here in my speech saying youth. We did that also with youth. Obviously, that makes sense because it's the young people that are actually, they are the ones that you want to keep, but they got bored. So you're a young person, you grow up in a farm, probably one of the first things you want to do at a certain moment is you want to leave and you want to go to the city and you want to do other things. Because farming, let's be very honest, farming is a hard job. Farming is not for fun. There was somebody who mentioned to me like many years ago, say, yeah, we should make farming more sexy. Well, I don't know how you want to do that, but it's honestly, farming is a hard job, and then you put all your work in it, and you still don't know if you will succeed. God only knows, or the weather, or whatever. It's you don't. So to bring in young people and to keep young people in that sphere requires a different approach. It requires like, okay, you can set up a business, you can use innovation, you can do different things. Let's see how that works. And that's we also have a youth in agribusiness for that. Welcome, sir. Good to see you. You're most welcome. So that was this discussion on roadmap and roadmap bringing together again all these players from government to private sector to research institute. And with what aim? To improve finance, to improve the cold chain and the logistics. And one of the recommendations, our key recommendation was that we should sit together and discuss this. And coincidentally or not coincidentally, this event, of course, is a great case in point. People should sit together and enlighten themselves because we all have our world in which we live. We all face challenges, but that's the case for research institutes. So great to see all of you present here. Another of the Dutch programs that we run is Horti Nigeria. Some of you might know that one too. That's basically a training of 60,000 farmers. And as I said, that is now at this moment focused on the north and on Ogun and Oyo. But we are sort of redesigning that program based on the experience that we have. And we are going to continue with our activities in this sector. But it might be tweaked a little bit so that we can bring on board the lessons learned. And with all these programs and with all these different individuals, we're trying to connect the dot. And connecting the dot is not a goal on its own. The goal, and people who have listened to me before on agric events, they know what I'm going to say. The goal is to establish that green revolution. Nigeria needs a green revolution. It needs mechanized agriculture. It needs to beef up productivity in the agriculture sphere. And it's not just enough to beef up production in the traditional way. More and more is needed for that. And that's why I'm so happy again to see us all together here. And to see how we can, specifically on finance, move forward. The Dutch Development Bank, FMO, signed an agreement with FCMB, well-known Nigerian bank, to support farmers in this respect. Now, a person cannot be at two places at the same time, at least I cannot, so I'm here with you today, but at this very day in Lagos, there is an event organized by FCMB to sort of showcase how they can work with farmers by way of funding without all kind of difficult questions on collateral and so on. So it's something we're working on. It's small. It will not change the entire landscape, but at least it's one of the ways in which we tried to improve the finance in this sector. Some of you might have heard about an organization called Invest International. They were actually here at the previous summit. So that's a Dutch government entity that can also finance companies that are doing business with the Netherlands. So the FCMB FMO example that I mentioned is basically farmers in Nigeria. Invest International, there has to be a Dutch link to it. But obviously, you know, if you buy Dutch seeds, there's already a Dutch link to it. Then, yeah, talking about Dutch seeds. Because when we talked to Dutch seed companies, we were not sure, looking at the markets in the north and the south, and looking at the prices of certain of the hybrid seeds, and we can have endless discussions on hybrid seeds, how fair is it, and blah, blah, and, you know. But we thought maybe their business would be better in the north than in the south or the southwest specifically. And to our surprise, actually, there are about 5 or 6 Dutch seed companies present on the Nigerian market. They saw a lot of potential and a lot of business in the southwest. And they're doing quite well in the southwest. So that means that farmers in the area have realized that it's smart to invest in better quality seeds, even if they are a bit more expensive. And of course, it's not just about selling seeds. It's about training. It's about the ecosystem. It's about working together with farmers. So the Netherlands stands ready as a partner and investor. And we invite the government of Ekiti state and other states in the southwest and the local agribusiness cooperatives, the financial institutions, to come together for a sustainable financial solution for thriving markets and use agriculture as the engine of Nigeria's future economy. So let this green revolution happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Come on, can we do a better round of applause? Thank you. Please have your seat. Thank you for that address, His Excellency. When he spoke about the fact that agriculture is not sexy, you know, guess what came to mind? The picture just behind me, right? They're smiling. It looks like harvest, but nobody talks about the pain, the sunburn, the fingers hurting, the hand hurting, the losses that most likely will come. But the truth is, we cannot but continue to invest and have conversations to chart the pathway for more investment in agriculture. Because, just like I said, I just, on my walk to the back, I figured out that the way I said it, if you don't eat, you'll die. Maybe that's a bit too direct. Maybe I'll paint the picture. If you don't eat, you starve, and then you die. Right? And of course, we don't want to be a continent or a country or a state that is not able to feed itself. Of course, survival instincts will come, and God forbid that we are feeding off each other's flesh. God forbid. But it's essential to be able to quench that thirst that gives us energy and vitality and strength and vigor in the most natural way possible, right? I hear you speak about hybrid seeds on the conversations around it. You know, those conversations are there, but the most important thing is we need to continue to finance agriculture and support that system so that people can begin to innovate around it and create so many multiple products that can even be heavily supported by countries like Netherlands and many other countries that are big on agriculture. So we want to thank you for that keynote, and thank you so much for your love, and thank you so much for coming to Ekiti. I'm so glad you visited Ikogosi Ekiti. And if you can stay tomorrow, you look very athletic. There will be a marathon. Yeah, tomorrow from here down to Ikogosi, the same place. But we thank you so much. Can we celebrate him one more time with a round of applause? All right. And while he was speaking, a very respected member of the State Executive Council just walked in, and he's a star boy right now. I'll say this so that he feels very fly. When you put in the work a lot and your work don't start to the show, pardon my pigeon, you know, it's important that we press it down, let it show. This man is in charge of the Ministry of Agriculture and is the Honorable Commissioner. But don't clap for him because he's the Honorable Commissioner. Clap because he has, one way or the other, found his way to ensure that the system gives back in terms of agric revolution to the state more than ever before. I see what they are doing with the farm hubs around district birds, empowering young people, supporting them in poultry. I see the young farmers initiatives that is also being sponsored by the government. And for the first time in a long time, Ekiti State is raising farmers, the government, and not just individuals like Farmer Lawrence and Dr. Olajumoke and other entities that are doing this as a private entity. The state government is now empowering young persons, and we are now raising funds. We are now contributing to the state's IGR through agriculture, and the numbers are not small. So please help me celebrate the Honorable Commissioner for Agriculture, Ekiti State, Mr. Ebenezer Boluwade. Can we celebrate him? He is from the civil society. And so, when they say people who speak English a lot, they really don't know how to implement projects and show workers. But it's a proof that if you put technocrats in government, you can get some good stuff out of it. So we celebrate you and thank you so much. I don't want to assume, are you representing the governor too? Are you wearing that cap? Okay, so he's also representing His Excellency Governor Biodun Abayomi Oyebanji. Can we do another round of applause? All right, so we're still talking achieving sustainable financing for agriculture here at the Safe Summit 5.0, and we'll go into the first panel session today. I'll bring the moderator, introduce the moderator for the first panel. But please let me urge us to please kindly get ready. I have a bit of concern for those of us who are seated at the back. Can you hear me clearly? There are also tables on the other side too. So it's not complete. If you have not tried our native food, it's not complete. Yes. I'm still waiting for us to settle in. Please join me very loudly with a round of applause forward to sing Ogushola. Can we clap? So Tosin's doing pleasantries. He will come and then please have your seat. Over to you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Permit me to stand on the existing protocol, and I'm standing so that I can be able to address this gathering appropriately. Let me quickly introduce fellow panelists, which I would introduce them briefly. The first person I would like to bring on stage is Rejoice Amarachi Usim, who is the CEO of Simk Foods. Please, with a round of applause, let's welcome Rejoice Amarachi Usim. Okay. Apologies for that. I think she's running late. Hopefully, she will join us in the course of the deliberation. Likewise, also, I would want to bring forward Farmer Ifelola Oluwole, who is the General Secretary of Tomato and Pepper Farmers Association here in Ekiti State. Welcome. Thank you for giving him a round of applause. Likewise, so I want to welcome to the podium Tinuka Lebele, who is the co-founder of Kato Foods. Please, with a round of applause, kindly welcome Tinuka Lebele. You're very much welcome. And also, I would want to welcome Taufik Ahmed, who is the CEO of Feed the West Agro Allied Limited. Welcome. You're very much welcome. Okay, so let me quickly dive into it. My name is Oluwatosin Ogunshola. I'm a proponent of development, and I believe strongly in the power of development to transform societies. I also believe strongly that agriculture is a bedrock and as well a driver of development for any society. Also, I know we are all here because of our interest in agriculture, or we have one form of agribusiness that has brought us to this room. And in that regard, I want us to put our hands together for ourselves for making it to this event today. So in the interest of time and just to set the stage for our deliberation this morning, I will quickly want to give us a brief preamble of what we'll be discussing so that we all can follow up on discussion afterwards. So basically, Africa's vast arable land and favorable climate, youthful population, gave it a strong potential to become a global agricultural leader. With the sector already employing over 60% of the population, in Nigeria it's roughly 70%, and contributing as high as 30 to 40% in the GDP. Likewise, also in Nigeria, this is improving year on year. But with such population, which is expected to double by 2050, we believe Africa is a young continent and that population will double. That means we have more mouths to feed. Food demand is outpacing supply, leaving over 1 billion people globally food insecure, as at the SOFI report of 2024. And this gives us a concern. However, for us to unlock the potential of agriculture in Africa and basically in Nigeria, we must modernize farming, improve infrastructure, expand finance and technology access, and build climate resilient systems. You will definitely agree with me. But based on studies and different key informant interviews that we've executed, we've discovered that access to finance in collaboration with institutional governance is a key challenge. Basically, I would like to state that there is finance, but it is not fit for purpose. So our discussion today would basically be centering on how can we access that finance. And I'm very privileged to moderate this section with like minds who are lead older farmers in their right, who are also processors working alongside smallholder farmers, and also people who are championing food system here in the Southwest and also in Nigeria. So I believe we should sit back and enjoy a robust discussion as we'll be deliberating on some of the key issues on what the experiences have been in accessing such finance, and likewise also giving us solution on how best to proceed from where we are at the moment. So in light of that, before I ask you a bit of some questions, within the period of time, take for instance, for 20 years now within the agricultural space, we've had a lot of challenge in terms of access to finance. A lot of business owners have gone under, burnt their fingers, shot themselves on the leg, and business has not been easy. And agriculture is quite I don't want to use Trump's word of special concern, but it is a special concern. And in that regard, a number of agribusiness owners have seen that they are not able to get a longer tenure of finance. Likewise, also, they are not able to access working capital, which is a big issue. So I'm just putting this out there so that our panelists can definitely be able to incorporate that into the deliberation this morning. So first off, I would like to throw a question to Madam Libile. In light of your engagement, especially for processing and engagement with smallholder farmers, I'm talking to sustainable sourcing, and likewise also access to finance, working capital to back your operations. I would want you to highlight some financial gaps in the agribusiness ecosystem. Some of the financial gaps that you've been able to identify, and now you've also been able to create a business model or a working relationship to overcome such. Thank you.
All right. Standing on existing protocol. Good morning, everyone. Thank you to our moderator for the question. So, looking at agricultural agribusiness sector as a whole, you know that it starts from primary cultivation to processing to markets and every other player in the agricultural sector. So it's not just about the agricultural farmers alone. So it's along the value chain. And this is one of the mistakes that people make, or maybe financial institutions also make, when they look at, okay, so we want to get an agri financing, they are looking at the smallholder farmers without neglecting every other aspect of agriculture. So one of the major gaps that I've been able to identify is with the smallholder farmers. Um, Farmers, when they don't have access to the right input that they want to use for processing or they want to use for cultivation, probably because there is no money to buy them and they've gone to financial institutions to say, give us this money. And because they've always seen agriculture as a risk sector, and they feel, oh, okay, so my crop, the crop I deal with is like a long-term thing, like a 1 year thing. They feel like they cannot stay for 1 year before they will start getting their money back. You have to look at that. Another thing is the area of storage. There are a lot of investment that are not going into storage, and that is why we have a lot of post-harvest losses in. And these are some of the areas that we need to look at, not just looking at the fact that, oh, it is primary cultivation. No, they are not going to do this, they are not going to do that. But for us, one of the things I've been able to do, personally, let me use cattle for an example. We work with a lot of outgrower farmers, and because of the type of processing that we do, we can't just cultivate what we need ourselves. How will we be able to help farmers in this aspect is we don't give farmers direct money. We don't give them direct, but because we've come to understanding of when you give a farmer money, if their children is not sick, their wife will be pregnant. That is when they will marry another wife. We've been able to understand that. So what we did right now is we got all the inputs they need. We have all the inputs. If you're a farmer that is registered other cattle food and grower farmer scheme or other projects, we have input for you. Just come. We have an agreement. We have a card as at that time. We were able to support with extension agents and also planting materials for these farmers. Right? It might not be 100%. But one thing is, all these projects are counterpart funding projects. So you just have to find a way of meeting that gap. So presently we have a project too that is dealing with cassava farmers. So we have the input, we have the stem for you, we have the fertilizer if your land is not that fertile, we have the herbicide. Your own is come and collect it. It is not free. But it is no interest is added to it. So you are getting it at the rate at which you get it in the market. And if you are paying back at that same rate. We don't add any interest to it. So we just want you to have what you need to cultivate and not try to say, oh, it's because I don't have input. That is why I am not planting. And that's one of the things we've been able to do. It is a win-win thing. So it's not just it's a win-win thing because it also gives access to our own raw materials for our own factory to process. So for smallholder farmers, that's the way we've been able to do it. In the area of marketing gap, what we're able to do is to identify potential youths that will know that they are capable of marketing or they want to sell products. We give them products to go sell. And they come back with them. We've tested some. We've rejected some. Because some will go with your money. However, there will be like a money collector. So if we are getting a product of 1 million naira, you should be able to pay 200,000 naira. So if you know your 200,000 naira is somewhere, you'll be able to work to get remaining money. So that's personally, as a private person, that's the way we've been able to solve some of that gap of financing between farmers and the market. With financial institutions, for us, I can't say that cattle food have been able to access money from financial institutions for our farmers. Why? Because I remember just a few days ago, somebody told me about a financial institution who is giving money to women in agriculture. And they said yes. I said, okay, you know what? I don't think I am interested. I told them, I don't think I am interested. And you are not doing it for agriculture. So don't say that. I'm not trading. I told them, I said, if I'm trading, it's a different thing. I can always collect it and trade immediately and, do you understand, return the money. But I am in a process now to get assets. You're telling me 60%. How much is my money? How much am I even making? How much is my profit out of what I'm making? Do you understand? So this gap is still there. However, just like the conversation was still ongoing, if you could get blended finance, it's going to be very okay for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I would quickly want to follow up with you based on what you discussed about financial institutions, just for us to close that discussion. Um, Based on our engagement with financial institutions, we've also discovered that financial institutions are now prone to giving loans to women. And their own idea of it is women have good repayment. They repay whatever is being borrowed. So to them, they've been able to secure that credit with women, and they've also been able to build that trust within some time. So from my own angle, I just quickly want to throw it to you based on your engagement with financial institution and also development partners. What we've seen is the government is fronting guarantee schemes, credit guarantee scheme. However, from the development partner end and on projects, we've also been able to see that savings and loan association, especially run by women, have been very vital to sustainability. So from that angle, I just quickly want to ask from you, how can financial services be designed to be more inclusive, especially for women and youth, looking at what is obtainable from VSLAs and also statistics from
this one, it's not good business. It's not sustainable. If there's every local government that has a tractor now, they've cleared the land, do community cooperative farming. At the end of the day, whatever they sell there, sell here, sell here. It makes it easy for everybody, and at the end of the day, more bankable and all that. I don't know if you're able to answer that question.
Yeah, thank you so much. I believe you've provided some insight to it, but I would quickly want to highlight a comment, and I want to throw it around so that what they think and the idea. So the comment is this: based on what we've discussed here today from the presentations earlier, we've been able to ascertain the need for blended finance, climate financing, and all of these buzzwords. Let's put that in one basket. They have clauses on sustainable business models, sustainable sourcing, ESG compliance, sustainability attached to it. Coming to our context here in Nigeria, we have the conventional banking system that is trying to build both analog and digital, trying to balance both ends while also serving the interest of both their own stakeholder and the customer. So when you look at it, and there's a deck. So when you look at that, we begin to talk about credit score, what's the tenure, what's the interest rate like, and then KYC and all of this documentation for you to access, and then repayment. So our interest for this, it or leave it, I will tell you for free. Like you said, there's finance available, and those finances are coming in gradually. Some are beyond the reach of smallholder farmers, right, because of the larger tickets and the likes, and then they are not able to meet those clauses attached to them. So I'm just throwing it out, and anybody can jump on it. I don't want to be specific now, so that we can begin to think around how best do you feel your business or those whom you serve can also be able to access some of these things, either improving their business process line or being able to adjust their own financing need to be able to access those finance.
Okay. Should I go first?
To access those finance.
Okay. Should I go first? So I think first thing first is it's about community farming and cluster farming. So now, if you look at other countries, you see that there's also an organization of farmers. While here in Nigeria, everybody is just boss on their own. And that's why you also see a bit of the northerners tend to enjoy more of those things more than us here in the south, because all of us here, we want to form bosses and all that. So if there's a cluster, then by that, oh, this is a member, I can track him, this one, that one, that one. So if you're going with volume, one will address the policy, two will say, oh, we have a KYC, we can track him from here. Then if you're coming to meet us, you're meeting let's say the organization or the community head or whatever, or the association. It makes it more easier, more bankable, and I think they'll give us that. I think that's what we lack down here in the south and also in Nigeria generally. I think if you're able to solve that, do that, then also in terms of that, we'll also tackle government policy. You'll be able to reach out to say, oh, this is what we want. This is how we should do it. That's how we should do it. I think we'll solve the problem much better.
All right, thank you very much. Picking from where you stopped, community farming, it is very important. However, I have also been able to meet farmers who feels, let's say I'm a processor. Cattle food now get a land, and I say, oh, farmers, come and farm on it. I'm giving you this land for free, farm on it. They'll believe that you are working. The mentality of farmers too needs to shift, the small older farmers. Because they will believe that, no, if you are doing that, you are working for, it's cattle food you are working for. But they also need to understand that you are making your money. Cattle food is giving you land, come and farm, access to market. But they will feel like, well, at the end of the day, what would they, like, do you understand? Like he said, sometimes they feel processor want to buy at that worst price. However, not all. We always tell our farmers, we are buying at the prevailing market price, because that also helps to build trust. So, community farming, it is the best. However, small farmers, we need to change our orientation to community farming. Another thing is, on the part of the government, I know of a state in Nigeria, in the northern part of Nigeria, that there's this particular fertilizer that we love to buy, especially people in the maize value chain. And I was asking the person that manufactured that fertilizer that we need to get this thing. It is very small, very tiny. But as tiny as that thing is, it's like, they will tell us that, they told us that, oh, the government of this state has bought everything. Yes, has been collaborations and relationship. Really. I'm hoping, like, I work with people. If I see
using mulching film in terms of irrigation, and when it's time for the staking, I've learned on how we stake and the pruning, and more so, I've learned a lot on value chain. Orúkọ mi Ọlánìpẹ̀kun Sekinat tó kù. Mo wà lára àwọn tó ń gbé àǹfààní Rapha 3.0. Nígbà tí mo kọ́ ní Rapha 3.0 bá ṣe ń gbin tomatoes, a lè fi ní fertilizer, a fi ní chemical tí yẹ kí kòkòrò kó wọ ara tomatoes. A lè tún fi okùn ìgbésẹ̀ ń dàgbà sí láti fi okùn gbé from the beginning, a fi gbé lọ. Títí last stage. Mo lè tún jẹ àǹfààní ẹ̀ ní bí wọ́n ṣe ń gbé lórí kókó ní mi ìrírí. So mo lè dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Rapha 3.0 tó fún mi ní opportunity láti mọ gbogbo bó ṣe ń gbin tomatoes. Ó lè kí n lè ṣe é fúnra mi láti gbé kí n lè gbin èèyàn ara mi. Personally for me, I learned more on being responsible. I learned more on getting rid of excuses. I feel with so much excuses you can't get the work done. So I tried to take up the work at time. I learned a lot about the agronomic aspect of farming, because that was actually my main objective to the program, to be able to take care of my crops, to be able to treat the disease.
Mo dẹ́kun lára àwọn tí ó jẹ àǹfààní nínú ètò tí Rapha 3.0 gbé sílẹ̀. Àǹfààní tí mo jẹ lára Rapha 3.0 pọ̀ gan-an. Torí láti ibi tomato, cucumber, cabbage, ṣùgbọ́n láti ìgbà tí mo ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ yìí, ó ń rẹ̀ mí lọ́rùn.
I'm a participant of Rapha 3.0. There are so many classes that stood out actually, but the QMS, which is quality management, also is part of a class that stood out to me because it gave me the knowledge to know more about responsibility, monitoring, and how to quantify our farm. A participant of Rapid 3.0. The classes have been perfect. I've missed a few, but all the ones I attended were it was shocking that the trainers were not even local trainers, they are global farmers, and it's been wonderful. Right there I learned that fungal diseases are different from viruses and bacteria. And so it was a very big detail. This is beyond what I expected.
It's been really exciting for me to see how they have learned, how they're excited about the learning that they have made, to also see how they're matching the learning in terms of theory with the practicals of the farm that has been dedicated for them to practice with, and of course the outcomes have been really, really exciting. So yes, overall, we're excited that we were achieving. We're all, the pioneers becoming farmers of farmers, providing that extension services to other farmers, because their knowledge have been improved, so they are able to also now take what they've learned from the Read Hammer initiative to go out to other farmers. My name is Mario Kondayo. I am the CEO of Post Harvest Solutions Limited and the convener visionary of the Raise a Farmer initiative.
Thank you. And that's where you clap. Can we celebrate Raise a Farmer initiative for all the fantastic? So we will now have the Honorable Commissioner speak to us, and just right after the goodwill message from the Honorable Commissioner, we'll go into the second panel. So please kindly let's get ready. But then as I bring him forward, please, I introduced him earlier. Enough said about so much good that he has done, but we're blessed to have this great man in our midst, not just here, but as a serving commissioner for agriculture in Ekiti State. Please help me celebrate Mr. Ebenezer Boluwade. Can we celebrate?
Please have your seat. So thank you. Good morning, everyone. If you are a farmer in the house, please come and take your flower. I celebrate every one of you for the work you are doing. It's not easy. I've been from the private sector to the public sector. I'm now at the core of agriculture. I know what you guys have passed through. I'm also a farmer, so let me also put in that context. So it's a great thing to be here. Let me appreciate and welcome the Consular General of Netherlands. Nice to see you. You are welcome to Ekiti State. I hope you have taken our inyo and vegetable. If you have not, I will ask you to ensure that you have it, because that's what we use to welcome visitors to Ekiti. You are welcome. So here this morning, I'm wearing 2 caps to represent the governor and also to be here as Commissioner for Agriculture. I've been attending all the series since I joined the state government. I think Farmer Lawrence, if you can save 2.2, was it? I think that should be in 2022, late 2022. That was when I joined the state government. I was there. Save 3.2, I was there. Yeah, last year I was there, and this year I'm here. So, and the only person that can do it is also Mayowa. Mayowa is a young man that I introduced him to people. I said, these are the solution finders. Because if you are in the agri sector, you are looking for money. You are not there, you won't last. Let me even say it. I think my sister Lebe was saying crowdfunding. When people came in through crowdfunding, they came in and they make their own momentum and then they disappear because they were looking for money. But if you are looking for solution in this sector, you will be consistent and you will stay. Your impact, I can see around 3.2 people that are sharing testimony. And I've worked with my one on different frontiers. Early this year, we were together in our training farmers on vegetable. Then we were together in Ario with farmer Ife, together in Erifun with youth. So there have been partnerships that have been sealed from day one.
And these are the youth I can work with, that can provide. And last Saturday again, my wife is someone that can wake me up on Saturday morning, because I use Saturday morning to sleep all my hangover sleep that I will not be able to get during the week. But he sent a message, I think around 9, that the Honorable Commissioner, you're on your way to the place. I have to jump off from my bed, have my bag, and join him to open post-harvest solution, a market within. So, Mayowa, thank you so much for what you are doing in this sector. Posterity will be very kind to you. Continue to be focused, and as I said, when you provide solution, money will follow solution. But if you are looking for money, you won't be able to see, because agric is somewhere you put a lot of money. I'm sure farmers are singing the song now. A lot of people you are bringing a lot of investments with the projection. Last year, the price of maize is 600. Next year, 250,000. So from 600 to 250. So if you are looking for money, you are not in the right sector. Go to oil and gas and go and invest. So I will read the speech then because of time. It gives me pleasure to stand before you today as a special guest and representative of His Excellency Biodun Abayomi Banji as the Speaker Agriculture for Future Economy, say 5.2 edition. On behalf of His Excellency the Executive Governor of Ekiti State and the good people of Ekiti State, I wish to express our deep appreciation to Post-Harvest Solution, the organizers of this noble program, which is held annually for the past 5 years. The program is aimed at bringing the best hands and brains to deliberate on critical issues and chart sustainable pathway for agribusiness prospect, transforming the sector in Nigeria and Ekiti State in particular. This 5th edition is designed to enjoy and facilitate knowledge exchange, networking among relevant stakeholders, promote innovation that can be domesticated in the Ekiti State, ensure collaboration, address some of the challenges clogging the wheel of progress, the financing hiccups that are constrained to the success of agribusiness growth in the state. The theme of this year edition is achieving sustainable financing and a thriving marketplace for agribusiness in Nigeria, which is starting with the policies and program activities of our administration in Ekiti State. I'm glad to inform this gathering that the governor has successfully carried out massive land clearing of over 5,000 acres across the local government of the state. We have created about 130 farm clusters, which minimum of 10 hectares, with no encumbrance and free of charge embarked for farmers that are arranged in clusters. We also constructed about 101 village roads to connect farmsteads to market in the state. The state has consistently carried out interventions and empowerment programs, which we popularly call agro-input subsidy for farmers. Last year, 18,000 bags of fertilizers were distributed freely to farmers. Through the partnership we are running, Bring Back Our Youth, we are able to bring about 5,000 youth into agricultural space. They are working in 13 farm centers today in Ekiti State, and we are building dormitory for sustainable production and value addition. At Terifun, where we have our youth in urban farming, they have access to about 30 hectares of land powered by solar for irrigation purposes. They have a greenhouse also to support their production, and they are doing very well in the agricultural value chain. The demonstration of this administration is all-round interventions across agro corridors, which include livestock, fishery, tree crops, and as a result of this numerous intervention and empowerment policy of the state government, many investors are trooping into the state as a result of the conducive and sustainable atmosphere crowned with high index in peace and security analysis. Ekiti State is the best investment state in Nigeria to do business, especially in agriculture, because we are making it very easy to farmers. We are creating an environment. We are doing the heavy lifting for them. We are providing security to ensure that everything is safe at our farmstead. The Ministry of Agriculture and other agencies government are ever ready to support your investment and ensure returns on investment within the shortest period of time. Before I leave here, I think I listened to the first panel session about financing. I spent 15 years of my life in the banking sector. So then finance farmers. So I understand the pain point of farmers. I also put myself in the shoe of an investor in the agri space. So we need to balance it. And how do we balance it? By government to come up with risk mechanisms. And that's why I see NISA and BOE coming together. We should have alignment of purpose and policies. If NISA is situated within back of agri, we want to learn to also de-risk so that the investment coming there can also be sustained. So these are the issues that we have. Then we must work with technologies. We need to know where the farmers are. In the banking sector, they say it KYC, know your customers. But today, it's know your customers' land where they are investing. Some people are portfolio farmers. You understand? You don't even know where the farm is, and you want to finance. And the bank, somebody, I think my sister said, people must come from the AC to the sun to also see. So you can't finance things you cannot see. They are tangibles. Agri is tangible products. You need to see the land, you need to see the tractor, you need to see what they are doing, and also tag them to ensure that things are done. So if you put technology, extension services, and risk mitigating factors, we can get a lot of money. And thank God, Bank of Agri, I think they have recapitalized with trillions of naira now. And the young man there is a friend, he's doing a very wonderful job. So I'm sure some of these gatherings, some of these conversations, if we can have it and also tailor it before them, we're able to have access to finance. But to me, and what we are doing in Ekiti is to make sure that we have access to market drive production. For example, Pokes have a market in Adamolekun. I mean, is it Adamolekun State now? Yeah. So I must ensure that whatever I'm producing, I have a place to sell. Farmer must not spend the number of days he spent in raising a bed, spend the same time of number of days to actually look for market. If it happens, becomes something that's not enticing, it's not sexy as they say. But market makes it better because when you produce and you have a place to sell it, immediately you can recoup your money and you can devote it to another thing entirely. So it's a hydra-headed stuff, but with the commitment and with the support, with the government there, private sector playing their part, everybody is playing because every stakeholder must put in one thing or the other. We must give and take in the whole process. So I believe we can get it. So I wish every one of us a very safe summit. As I said last year, the communique after the program, which he shared with me, and we utilize it in
where we can figure out a little or large extent of what data is telling us about everybody's activities. We have laid the foundation. Until we do that, we're still trying to get things done. But I mean, that's the approach that we think can bring the solution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Give a round of applause for him. All right, thank you very much, Luther. We will be going towards exports and tying it to marketplace, right? I always have a saying that says that everything rises and falls on logistics, and logistics does not only mean transportation. It also includes handling, transportation, packaging, compliance, and a whole bunch of things, right? And so Adora, this is for you because I know you really play in that space, and you're a very popular name, the smart exporter, right? I want you to speak to your experience regarding how the Nigerian agricultural space, especially.
Question that would cover a lot of bases. So when it comes to exports, a lot of the things we send out, thankfully, are now becoming very popular in the international market. A lot of our homegrown foods. Previously, exportation used to be about crude oil, about raw materials, mineral resources and all. Over time, it's moved to cash crops, sesame seeds, cocoa, cashew, and the likes. But now, due to the Japa, how much a lot of Nigerians have migrated to other places in the world, there's an increasing demand for everyday food that Nigerians eat in the UK, US, Canada, down to even Australia, right? So what this means is that we now have to go back to the grassroots and work on compliance, work on a lot of things that, tweak a lot of things, change and adapt our farming methods to the global standards across board for different products. So we've seen in the last few years a outright ban on beans from Nigeria. Why? Because of our preservation methods. A lot of Nigerian farmers and processors use is it DTP is called, what we know as sniper, which is very, very DVD, which is very, very harmful. The increasing rise in cancer, a lot of issues